Very good morning to you all. I am Mariam Khan. I work as an educational advisor at USEFP, which is United States Educational Foundation in Pakistan. We are Education USA all across the globe, and in Pakistan, we're also known as United States Educational Foundation in Pakistan. We are the US Department of State network. Our presence is across 174 countries in the world, and we have more than 430 advising centers across the globe. As you all know that today's session is all about the GRE, which is the Graduate Record Examination. It is essential for your admission in Masters and PhD degrees in the US. This workshop is done in collaboration with the Higher Education Commission of Pakistan. So it is a collaborative effort of USEFP and the Higher Education Commission of Pakistan. I welcome you all in this session, and within this session, we will be doing the quantitative reasoning section, and the verbal reasoning section. Today with me, I have Mr. Zishan Rahat Qureshi, who is the Principal Advisor Test Prep for USEFP Lahore. Zishan, I welcome you to this session.
Thank you, Mariam.
So as we move ahead and as we see people joining in, I would like to start with the GRE quantitative reasoning section of the exam. Before we do that, let's just have an overall view of how this exam looks like and what is this about. So it is a computer-based test. As you all know, you will be using a computer to take this test. It won't be a handwritten test. Owing to the current situation, we also have the option of taking the home-based test, which means you don't have to go to a center to take the test. You can just register online, and then if you fulfill certain technical requirements, you can take this test online from the convenience of your home or from any place which is comfortable for you to take the test from. As far as the test duration is concerned, it is almost a 4-hour long test, 3 hours and 45 minutes to be precise. So as we can see that it is a long test, and it is timed, so it will require a lot of concentration and precision in terms of taking the test. The exam is $205. The exam fee is $205. If you do the math, it's somewhere between 30 to 40,000, depending on the exchange rate for the dollar in Pakistan. If you take the exam, the scores stay valid for 5 years. So if you are currently thinking of going for your master's, and if you take the test right now, once you're done with your master's in 2 years, you can use the same test scores for your PhD. So it will be a long-term investment if you decide to invest in this exam. As far as the scores are concerned, you are able to send scores to 4 institutions on the day of your test, and they're sent for free, like you're not charged any fee for that. If you wish to send your scores to additional institutions, you will be required to pay a fee of $27 for each institute that you pay. So you see, it will cost you good amount of money if you forget to put in the institution codes during the exam day, so that your scores could be sent to them. This exam is offered Monday to Thursday, and it is offered every week of the year. But owing to Corona, as I mentioned, COVID-19 situation, you are able to take the home-based test, which means you can take the GRE test from home. As far as the test format is concerned, there are 5 sections to this test. The 3 major sections would be the analytical writing, where what do you actually get from the word analytical writing, where you're supposed to write something and where you're supposed to think analytically. So there are going to be 2 separate time writing tasks. You will be required to write 2 essays, 30 minutes per task, which means it is a 1 hour long session. The verbal reasoning section, the verbal reasoning section has 2 sub portions within it, which means that you will be getting 30 minutes per section, and there will be 20 questions per section. So 40 questions in terms of verbal reasoning, and you will have 1 hour to do these questions. So I would say that whenever you're taking the test, even the practice test, if you are preparing for the exam, make sure that you time the test and you're able to do your maths in terms that 40 questions, verbal reasoning questions for within 1 hour. So you should also practice in the similar manner. As far as quantitative reasoning is concerned, which is the math section, you will have two sub portions in it, and each will have 20 questions per section. You will, however, get 35 minutes per section, which means you have almost 1 hour and 10 minutes to do the quantitative reasoning section, and you have to do 40 questions within it. Unscored section. So there's always an unscored section which is not marked. It is not known which one is it, and it includes 20 questions.
So I think there is a maybe Mariam got disconnected. So I'll just try to continue with where she left. So the analytical section, we have two separately timed writing tasks. You have to type two essays and you have 30 minutes for each section. Then in verbal reasoning section, you have approximately 20 questions per section and 30 minutes for each section. In quantitative reasoning, you have again 20 questions per section and 35 minutes for each section. So ETS, the Educational Testing Service, what they sometimes do is they give you an additional section. So generally you have two verbal reasoning sections and two quantitative reasoning sections. But then if they give you an extra section, it can be verbal and it can be quantitative. So the fifth section is not scored, but we as test takers, we do not know which section will not be scored. So whether you get 4 sections or 5 sections, just don't worry, just do the exam, do each question as it would be scored. And sometimes ETS may also give a research section, which is for their own internal research. So it's an identified research section that is not scored. And if it comes, then they will let you know. So don't panic about that.
Zishan, I had some technical difficulty and I was made to leave the workshop. I'm back. I
Okay.
apologize for any inconvenience that was caused because of
So
that.
Mariam, you can start with the quantitative reasoning slide. I've covered the format.
Thank you. Uh, So as far as the quantitative reasoning section is concerned, there are going to be two portions to it. 20 questions, as I mentioned before. For each section, you will get 35 minutes. So in total 1 hour, 10 minutes for 20 questions. The score range will be from 130 to 170, and it will be in increments of 1 point. So if you do all questions right in the quantitative reasoning section, you will get 170 points. Um, However, if you do one question wrong, you will be losing 1 point. So for each right answer, you will be getting an increment of 1 point. What do we really get in this math section or the quantitative reasoning section of the GRE test? It's basic algebra, arithmetic, geometry, and data analysis. The kind of questions that we get, however, would be in the terms of quantitative comparison, where you'll be asked to compare two values and maybe tell which value is greater, which value is smaller, or something similar to that. You will also get multiple choice questions, as we are fairly familiar with these type of questions in every exam that we take. You will just be asked to choose one answer choice. However, in the GRE test, there's also another kind of multiple choice question where you are asked to choose one or more answer choices as the right answer. So these are going to be a bit challenging because we're not attuned to these kind of questions. Um, the fourth kind of the question is the numeric entry, where you're asked to enter a number, and this number has to be precise and this number has to be the correct number. So as far as my personal experience is concerned, I believe the numeric entry questions are a bit challenging compared to the other types of the questions that you take. We will go in detail with each type of questions, and we will also solve these questions. So let's start off with a multiple choice question where you just have to choose one answer choice. As the directions also say that you have to select a single answer choice. So make sure when you're taking the test, you are clearly concentrating on the directions which are given for taking a for solving a certain question. Um, as you can see, I would give you time to go through the question. It is a simple algebra question. So what is the question? It is 5x plus 32 is equals to 4 minus 2x. What is the value of x? So I remember in grade 6 or 7 probably, we were doing these kind of questions in our math class. So what do we really do? We put the x values on one side and we take the constants on the other side. So 5x plus 2x is equals to 4 minus 32. 5x plus 2x is 7x. While on the other side 4 minus 32 is minus 28. So 7x is equals to minus 28. What should be the right answer? So 7x equals to minus 28. We know 7 fours are 28, but there's a minus negative sign with it, so the correct answer choice would be C. So these kind of questions are fairly easy. The only key to them would be to save time on these kind of easy questions, because you see these don't involve any complicated calculations or anything like that. So if you save time on these kind of questions, you can maybe put in time on the other questions. However, always remember that each question carries equal points, which is 1 point. So if there are easy questions, you should not rush through them just to do the difficult ones. um, do give them a fair amount of time, but if you're able to solve them at earlier, um, feel free to switch to the other questions. Let's see this. So this is a multiple choice question with two correct answer choices. Which two of the following numbers have a product that is greater than 60? So let's look at the numbers A, B, C. We have four choices here. Um, A is minus 9. If we ignore the negative sign, 9 looks out to be the greatest number. But then we have B, which is minus 7. Then we have C, which is 6, and then we have D, which is 8. So as a general rule, we know that negative into negative is positive if you multiply it, but negative into positive is negative. So if we take the greatest number, which is 9, ignoring the sign, and then the second biggest number that we see is 8. So 9 into 8 could be 72, but since we have a negative sign attached to it, we can we will not be taking this answer choice. So let's see if we can take numbers with the similar signs with them. So minus 9 into 7 is 63. Since minus into minus is positive, this could be a bigger number. We can also look at 8 into 6, which could be 48. And since the signs are positive, so we get to know that the correct answer choices can be A into B, which is 63. And because there are two negative numbers, you multiply the two negative numbers and you get one positive number, which turns out to be 9 sevens are 63. So we take A and B as the answer choices. Let's see quantitative reasoning section, numeric entry questions. So as I said earlier during the session, that these might seem to be a bit challenging, because you have to type a number, you have to find out the answer choice, and then you have to type it. So precision has to be there in terms of the answer choice. So this question basically, I would give you time to read the question, the first question, the rectangle, and the square question. So the question says that the rectangle R has length 30 and width 10, and square S has length 5. The perimeter of S is what fraction of the perimeter of R? Um, Same in grade 7 and 8, we read about the perimeters and the different shapes that we have. So as we know that the two sides of the rectangle are equal and the length is 30 and the width is 10. As a general rule, the perimeter of rectangle is 2 times length plus breadth. So 30 plus 10 is 40 into 2 is 80. So the perimeter of rectangle is 80. While on the other hand, we have a square which has a length of 5. Since we know that all the lengths of the square are equal, all the sides of the square are equal. So we multiply 5 by 4 since there are 4 sides to the square. So 5 into 4 is 20. So the perimeter of square is 20 and the perimeter of rectangle is 80. The perimeter of S is what fraction of the perimeter of R? So we have to find the fraction. So we put the perimeter of S, which is 20 on top, and we put the perimeter of rectangle, which is 80 at the bottom, and then we get 20 by 80. We can also simplify this fraction and we can write it as 1 by 4. There are, let's look at the next question. I would give you time to go through the question. Are you able to hear me? I see a few messages in the chat that people say that they're not able to hear us.
I can hear
Okay,
you.
okay, great. So you all can hear us. So let's look at the next question. The next question is there are twice as many girls as boys in an English class. If 30% of the girls and 45% of the boys have already submitted their homework, what percent of students have not submitted the homework yet? So as you can see in this question, we have percentages. Let's assume a number. Since it says that there are twice as many girls as boys, so let's assume that the number of girls in the class is 200 and the number of boys in the class is 100. So if 30% of the girls have already submitted their homework, so 30% of 200 would be 60 and 45% of 100 would be 45. So 60 plus 45 are the number of students who have done their homework. So 60 plus 45 is 105. And what will be divided by to find the percentage? So the total number of students was 200 plus 100, which is 300. So we do 65 divided by 300 and we find out the to find out the percentage, we multiply it by 100 and the answer we get is 65%. So it's just simple math calculations. During
So,
the test, you will see a calculator on top of your screen. You can use that calculator to do your calculations. Also, I would suggest if you see these are fairly easy calculations, you can just do them mentally and not use a calculator because typing in numbers and using the calculator might mean that you're losing time.
sorry to cut you off, Mariam. So there's a question asking if we can explain it again. So I'll just briefly go over it again. So since there are twice as many girls as boys in an English class, so if you assume the number of boys to be 100, then the girls would be 200. So we have assumed a total number of 300. So 45% of the boys did their homework. So 40, we assume the number of boys to be 100. So 45% of 100 is 45. So this means 45 boys did their homework. Then it says 30% of the girls did their homework. We assume the number of girls to be 200 since girls are twice as boys. So 30% of 200 is 60. So if we add the number of girls who did their homework, that is 60. If we add that to the number of boys who did their homework, this is 45. So 45 plus 60 is 105. So we know that 105 out of 300 students did their homework. But always read the question very carefully. The question says, what percent of students have not submitted their homework? So if 105 students out of 300 have submitted their homework, this means 300 minus 105, which gives us 195. So 195 students did not do their homework. So now in order to find the percentage, we divide 195 by 300 multiplied by 100, which gives us 65%. I hope it's clear.
Thank you for doing that, Zishan. Um, we will move on to the next question. It is a quantitative comparison. We have two quantities in front of us, quantity A and then quantity B. Let's look at these quantities. The first quantity, which is quantity A, is 23% of 43. Let's look at quantity B, which is 43% of 23. So when we look at the two quantities, we see similarities in terms of the numbers, right? Um, let's see what we can do. So if we have to minus the percentage sign, what will we do? And if we have to minus the percentage sign from the quantity B, what will we have to do? So we have to do some maths and some calculations. But before we do that and before we get into solving these questions, we get to see that the two quantities seem to be similar since the two numbers are also the same, right? So 43% of 23 and 23% of 43 will come out to be equal. You can so these kind of questions are usually the trick questions. If you do a lot of practice and if you keep on solving these questions, you will be able to find out and identify these questions at one instance, and you will not be wasting your time in doing the calculations and putting in a lot of effort in these, because these are just simple trick questions. You see 23% of 43 is going to be the same as 43% of 23. Let's look at these. So it is also quantitative comparison. You have quantity A, which is X, and you have quantity B, which is under root 25. X square is 25. So whenever you have a positive square and you have a positive number on the other side, you take an under root on the two sides, and the answer for X, the value for X would be 5, because it is a positive, it is next to a positive number, and the under root would also give us a positive number. However, if we see quantity B, which is under root 25, so if we do under root 25, we will get 5, right? Because this is a positive number. But for x square equals to 25, we see that we will get two values, plus positive 5 and negative 5. Why? Because we're taking under root on both the sides. So what do you think would be the answer? The relationship cannot be determined, since one x value is positive and negative 5, and on the other hand we're just getting positive 5. You cannot compare the two values. This is also a trick question, because it seems to be very easy. A lot of students will make the mistake where they'll think that if you're taking under root for x square equals to 25, you will only get a positive 5. No, but when you're taking under root on both the sides, you will get plus minus 5. However, for quantity B, since the under root has a positive number underneath it, it will only give us 5. So the key to this would be practice. The more you practice, the more you will be able to solve these kind of questions. Now, it is a simple chart that you have to read, and then you have to find out a value according to the question. Here, you have to be really careful in terms of what is being asked in the question. So it says, according to the graph, which of the following could be the number of refurbished yachts sold in 1996? So let's look at these two charts. So the first chart is the new and refurbished yard sale of company 1994 to 2004, which means that the 1996 number would be within the same range, would be in the same chart. So on the x-axis, we have the number of years, and on the y-axis, we have number of yards which are sold. However, it says that these numbers are in thousands. So what does the question ask? It asks us to tell us the number of refurbished yachts sold in 1996. Let's see. So first is 1994 and second is 1996. Hello.
Yes, I can hear you.
Yes. Okay. So the second number is 19. The second value is 1996, And that's what the question is also asking you. So in 1996, you see it's somewhere close between 6, around 6. It's somewhere around 6. You see the point, which is around 6. So let's see the values that we have. So A is 7,750, B is 5,900. That's pretty close to 6,000. Let's see if we have a number that's even closer. C is 5590, D is 5400, and E is 5390. So the closest number to 6,000 here we see is actually 5,900, and that will be our correct answer choice. Now let's look at a geometry question. Here you do need to memorize a few formulas, and here you do need to apply your technical knowledge that you have of maths. So here we see that we have square ABCE, and we have a polygon which is ABCDE. So the square ABCE has side AB is equals to 4. As we know that all sides of the square are equal, so we can find out that if AB is 4, BC will also be 4, and so will be CE, and so will be AE. We know that quantity A is 24 and quantity B is the perimeter of polygon ABCDE, and we have to compare the two values. Since we know that CE is also 4, since it is the side of a square, we also know that the triangle up front is an equilateral triangle, which means all angles of the triangle are equal. And also if the angles are equal, it means that all sides of the triangle are also equal. So if CE is 4, CD will also be 4, and DE will also be 4. So to find out the perimeter of polygon ABCDE, we know we have to add AB plus BC plus CD plus DE. So 4 plus 4, AB is 4, BC is also 4, CD is also 4, and DE is also 4. So quantity A is 24, and the perimeter of polygon ABCDE will be 4 into 4 plus 4 plus 4 plus 4 and plus 4. 4 into 5, 20. So the greater quantity will be A. Quantity A is greater, and that is our answer. So in this question, we see what we needed to know was the formula for finding the perimeter of polygon. And we also needed to know the certain features of a square, which means that all sides of the square are equal. And then we needed to know that if there's a triangle which has all angles equal, it means it is an equilateral triangle, and it will also have all the sides equal. Now we will move to the verbal reasoning section. Zishan, if you would please like to continue.
Thank you so much, Mariam. Can you please make me co-host so that just in case if I have to share my slides at some point, I can do
Yes,
that?
yes, yes.
Okay, so I'll be starting with the GRE verbal reasoning section, which is the English portion of the exam. Can we move to the next slide, please? Okay, so in verbal, we have already discussed that for quantitative reasoning, the score is between 130 to 170. And for verbal reasoning as well, the score is between 130 to 170 in increments of 1 point. So this means that the lowest that you can score in GRE is 260 and the highest that you can score is 340. The analytical writing section, where you have to type 2 essays, you get a composite score between 0 to 6, 0 being the worst and 6 being the best, in increments of 0.5. This means that you can either have a 0.5 or a 1 or a 1.5 or a 2, but you won't be getting a score like 1.23 or 3.21. Next slide, please. Okay, so these are the three kinds of questions that you'll be facing in the verbal reasoning section. You have reading comprehension, in which you'll be given passages and you have to answer questions at the end of those passages. Then you have to do text completion. Now, text completion is like fill in the blanks, but you need to have good grasp on vocabulary. And then you have sentence equivalence, which is a bit similar to text completion. Again, fill in the blank kind of questions, but again, you need to have a good grasp over vocabulary for this section as well. Next slide, please. Okay, so we'll start with text completion. In text completion, you have either one blank or two blank or three blanks. If you have one blank, you have 5 answer choices. If you have 2 or 3 blanks, you have 3 answer choices. There is no partial credit. This means that if there are 2 blanks, you have to give the correct answer for all 2 blanks. And if there are 3 blanks, you have to give the correct answer for all 3 blanks. If there are 3 blanks and you select 2 correct answers but 1 wrong answer, then you won't have any credit for that question. Next slide, please. Okay, so let's start with the text completion. So a recommendation that we give is never look at the answer choices before. So look at the statement given to you, try to understand that statement, look at the blank, and in your own words, think what kind of a word do you think should go in the blank. So now this one says, just as different people can have very different personalities, so too can pets. Even those of the same species and breed possess varied dash. Now, the first thing is to try to understand what the statement is trying to say. So it's saying that as people have different personality types, so pets also have different personality types. So the kind of word that we are looking for in the blank is something like personalities. So now that we have an idea of what kind of a word should go in the blank, then we can start looking at the answer choices. So when you're looking at the answer choices, please use the process of elimination, or POE. In the process of elimination, what you do is you strike out, you eliminate the wrong answer choices, and it increases your chances to arrive at the correct answer. So the first answer choice that we have here is initiation. So can initiation be the answer here? Not really. That's because initiation means to start something, and we are looking for a word that is similar to personalities. Can implementation be the answer? No, implementation means to implement something, to induct something. So we can eliminate both A and B. C is aptitudes. Now, aptitude seems to be a bit close to what we are looking for. So let's not eliminate C. D says rationalization. So rationalization means to talk logic, to have something that has logic in it. So again, we are looking for personalities, we can eliminate D. So we are left with C and E. So what do you think is closer to personalities? Aptitudes or temperaments? So our correct answer will be C or E. So I am seeing people typing E mostly, and that is correct. You all are correct. The correct answer is going to be E, temperaments. That's because temperament is more closer to personalities. Aptitude is more related to skills. Can we go to the next slide, please? Okay, so when you're doing text completion, one thing that you have to keep in mind, there are 3 things actually that you have to keep in mind. The first thing is clue. What is a clue? A clue is a word or group of words that point to the best answer choice. So there will always be a clue in the statement that will point you to the right answer choice. So let's look at the next sample and it will clear things up. Now known as Administrative Professionals Day, Secretary's Day was created in 1952 by Harry F. Clemfus, a public relations professional who dash the value and significance of administrative assistance in order to attract more women to the profession. So let's not look at the answer choices right now. So let's try to understand what the statement is saying. So it's saying that Harry F. Clemfus, now we have to find clues here. So who was Harry F. Clemfus? What profession was he from? He was himself from the public relations profession, right? And another thing is that he created this day, the Secretary's Day. When do you create a day like a Mother's Day or Father's Day? When you think highly of a profession. So the clue is that he himself was from the same profession. He thought highly of the profession since he created this day. And what did he want women to do about this profession? So he wanted to attract more women to the profession. So it means that the kind of word that we are looking for here is something which shows that Harry F. Clemfus was fond of this profession. Now, Mariam, can you just press enter once so that we can see the meaning of these words as well? Okay, so answer choice A means forbid, banish, prohibit. So this is exactly the opposite of what we are looking for. We are looking for a positive word. So we can eliminate A. Now B means B is touted, which means promote. So this can be the answer. Who touted the value and significance of administrative assistance? So let's keep B. Refuted means to disprove something, to reject something. We can eliminate C. D, undermined, to hinder something or sabotage something. Again, this is not what we are looking for. And admonished means to scold someone or something. Again, this is something which is a negative word here. So yes, as some of you are typing, the correct answer is going to be B. Correct. Let's move to the next one. So when you're doing text completion, sentence equivalence, the first thing that you need to keep in mind is the clue. The second thing that you need to keep in mind is the tone. See whether the tone of the blank is positive or negative. Let's look at the other slide, the next slide. A wind chill warning is issued when temperature is projected to reach minus 25 degrees Fahrenheit or lower, the point at which the cold has dash effects on living creatures. Okay, so now if you look at the tone is mostly negative of this sentence, and we are looking for a negative word here. So the kind of word that can go here can be the point at which the cold has negative effects on living creatures, adverse effects on living creatures, lethal effects on living creatures. So this tone tells us what the tone of the word would be. So the first thing is clue, the second thing is tone. Now let's look at the third thing that you should keep your eyes on. Next slide, please. Trigger words. So what are trigger words? These words indicate whether the blank should follow the clue or should go in the opposite direction. So these are words like hence, therefore, moreover, in conclusion, while. So these words tell us whether the second part of the sentence is either going to follow the first part or is going to go in the opposite direction. Let's look at an example. While it is generally assumed that drinking alcohol is detrimental to one's health, many studies have shown the dash effects of having a glass or two of wine daily. So the trigger word here is while, and the first part of the sentence shows that drinking is detrimental, but due to this while, the second part, the tone of the sentence goes in the opposite direction. Although it's detrimental, but many studies have shown the positive effects of having a glass or two. So there has to be a positive word here. Healthy effects of having a glass or two can also be an option. So the three things that you're going to be looking at are clue, tone, and trigger words. Next, please. Okay, so in text completion, you can complete the blanks one by one. If there are two blanks or three blanks, you can give answer to blank number two before blank number one. We have talked about the clue, trigger words, and tone. Look if the blanks complement each other or they go in the opposite directions. Next, please. Okay, so then we are going to go to sentence equivalence. The cohesion of Alexander the Great's vast empire was dashed. Now remember the difference between sentence equivalence and text completion. In sentence equivalence, you are always given one blank and there are 6 answer choices. And you have to select 2 answer choices. Unlike text completion, for one blank in sentence equivalence, you choose 2 answer choices, 2 such words that are similar in meaning, and using any of those words do not change the meaning of the whole sentence. So here it says the cohesion of Alexander the Great's vast empire was dash. At his death, Alexander's lands were divided among his generals. Now what is cohesion? Cohesion is the bonding. So if at the death of Alexander, if his lands were divided among different generals, it means the cohesion was strong or weak. The bonding of his lands were obviously weak, since different lands were controlled by different generals. So now we are going to select 2 answer choices here. So Mariam, can you please press enter one more time so that we can see the meaning? Yes, thank you. So we are looking for a word that tells us that the cohesion was weak. So can abiding be the answer? Abiding means lifelong, long lasting. Abiding will need to be eliminated. Precarious. Precarious means dangerously insecure. Was the cohesion dangerously insecure? Obviously, if the cohesion was weak, then it was insecure. So B can be an answer. Protracted means long lasting. So was the cohesion long lasting? No. We can eliminate this because his lands were divided among his generals. The cohesion was weak. Was the cohesion redoubled? No. Was it renowned? Renowned means famous, celebrated. It does not make sense here. So the correct answer, as typed by Zainul Abidin and Roha Wasim and Hafiz Aftab, are B and F. So B and F, precarious and tenuous, will be the correct answers. Okay, next slide. Another sample. Despite their outward negativity, many a cynic harbors an inner faith in the dash of mankind. So despite is the trigger word. So what are cynics? Cynics are critics. So if critics outwardly think, if they have negative feelings about mankind, but in their inner faith they have dash of mankind, so it's very obvious that there is going to be a positive word here. So can it be benevolence? Can Mariam, can you hit enter one more time? Okay, so benevolence means disposition to do good. This is a positive word and this can be our answer. Precocity means intelligent, smart, advanced. It will not make sense here. We can eliminate B. C is parsimony. Parsimony means stinginess, conjugacy. We can eliminate that. And D is ignobility. Ignobility means not noble. We can eliminate this as well. Antipathy is again, enmity or hatred for someone. So we can eliminate E. So a lot of people are typing A, benevolence, and F, probity. Probity means integrity. So probity and benevolence, A and F are the positive answer choices here. This will be our answer choice. Now remember, you again don't get partial credit in sentence equivalence. You have to select both the correct answers. So A and F will be the correct answers here. Let's go on the next one. Okay, then the last section is reading comprehension in verbal reasoning. So in reading comprehension, you will be having 1 to 5 paragraphs. The topics can vary. It can be on environment, on astronomy, on anything else. You don't need to have prior knowledge about these topics. So some paragraphs are really small and some are really long. So the strategy here is we don't recommend to read each and every word in the paragraph because it will waste a lot of time. So what you can do is for each paragraph, concentrate and focus on the first 3 to 4 lines, and that would give you the main idea of the paragraph, and the first paragraph would give you the main idea of the whole passage. Skim through the rest and then try to connect the dots. Go to passage number 2. Again, do the same thing. Read the first 3 4 lines carefully. Know what the main idea of the paragraph is. How does it connect to the first para? And then skim through the rest. And in the last para, look for conclusion. So the question types that you get in reading comprehension: MCQs in which there is one correct answer, MCQs in which there can be more than one correct answer, and select in passage questions. In these kind of questions, you are not given answer choices, but you have to go back in the passage, click on the statement that you think is correct, it will get highlighted, and that will be your answer. So I'll give you some examples here. Let's go to the next slide, Mariam. The next one after this. Okay, so I'm just going to read the first 3 4 lines here and just try to guess what the main idea is all about. Little is known about the elusive section of the Earth's atmosphere known as the mesosphere, located between the stratosphere, the maximum altitude that airplanes can achieve, and the thermosphere, the minimum altitude of spacecraft. The mesosphere is poorly understood. So just reading till here should give us a good idea about what this paragraph is talking about. It's talking about an atmospheric layer, mesosphere, what's above it, what's below it, and that it's poorly understood. So once you know about it, then just skim through the rest of the paragraph. Just go through it very quickly, and it's talking about what happens when meteors hit these layers and how does conflagration and fire take place. So when you look at the question, you should know which part of the passage you should go to get the answer. Next, please. So you should know what the main idea is, what the tone of the paragraph of the passage is, and what the structure is. Okay, so we'll go on the next slide, and there's another passage there. So I'll just read 3 lines. Or consider McMurtry's treatment of character. The traditional Western formula depicts mainly masculine characters and portrays them as both heroic and human. In his novels, McMurtry creates strong female characters. So what's the main idea like? They are talking about a novelist whose name is McMurtry, and McMurtry has done something different from the traditional writers. What he has done is he has shown females as heroes in his novels, which is different from the traditional formula. So if we skim through the rest of the paragraph, they are talking about how the critics look at McMurtry's writing. So now you know that when you get a question about McMurtry's writing style, you have to come to this paragraph. So the question says, select the sentence that shows the author's view of McMurtry's treatment of gender. So we have to select that sentence that shows how McMurtry treats gender in his novels. So which line number is it going to be? Now, because we have not been given answer choices here, so this is select in passage kind of questions. You just go, yes, Hafiz Aftab and Mohammad Usman. So lines 3 and 4, they are correct. Shadman Ali also says third line. So the third line is, in his novels, McMurtry creates strong female characters. We are just going to select this statement and it will get highlighted. Can you go on the next slide? So here you see, when you will click on this statement, it will get highlighted and this will be your answer. So this is all that we wanted to cover in GRE. I'll just give a brief overview of the analytical part of the section. In analytical writing, there are 2 essays and you have 30 minutes for each essay. The first essay is analysis of an issue, where a statement will be given to you and you have to take a position either in favor or against that statement. The other essay is analysis of an argument. In that argument, you have to plug in the loopholes between the conclusion and the premises. So I will recommend you guys to buy a good GRE book. There are a number of GRE books available in the market, like Princeton Review, like Kaplan. There's an official guide by ETS. Then there is Mahoush, there is Barron. So there are a number of books. You can look at those books and see which one is more suitable to you. Then another important point is that you should go to the ETS website, which is www.ets.org/GRE. www.ets.org/GRE. On that website, you are also going to find some preparation material. There's also a free online GRE mock test there, which is called GRE Prep Online. So you can do that test there. Besides that, USEFP is also thinking about starting GRE classes in the near future, and HEC is also thinking on the lines of having GRE online classes in the near future. So please keep visiting the USEFP's Facebook pages, Insta, and our website, which is www.usefpakistan.org. www.usefpakistan.org. And for the US Pakistan Knowledge Corridor program, and for that program, please do visit HEC's website. They will have important announcements on their website as soon as they finalize about the next session. Okay, and okay, so Mariam, can we look at the questions? I'm just going to look at the Q&A and I'll just start answering the questions that I see there. So Abdullah Naim says, as I am FSC Part 2 students, is it possible for me to apply for GRE? Okay, so you can apply for, you can take the GRE exam. So remember the GRE exam for those who want to appear, who want to get admission in bachelor's or PhD. So since you'll be doing your FSC, So you can take the GRE exam and apply for your bachelor's. Is there negative? So Talha Mehboob is asking, is there negative marking in GRE? No, there is no negative marking in GRE, but then in sentence equivalence and text completion, as I mentioned, there is no partial credit. If there are two blanks, you have to give the correct answer for those two blanks in text completion, and for sentence equivalence, you for each blank you have to choose two correct answer choices. Okay, then Mohammed Zainul Abidin says, is there detail of other sections like quantitative reasoning? So I guess you are asking about where you can find details of the math portion. So if you buy a good book and if you go on the GRE website, on the ETS website, you will find all the detail that you need for the quantitative section and for the verbal reasoning section. In how many, Atif Ahmed says, in how many institutes can we apply on the basis of one GRE test? So on the day of the exam, you can send your score reports to 4 institutions for free. But after that, if you want to send your score report to more institutions, then ETS will charge you $27 for each additional institution that you send your score report. What is the minimum marks? Atif Ahmed is also again asking, what is the minimum marks required to get admission any US university? So see, it really depends. There is no cutoff limit that I can tell you, but when you shortlist your universities, look at what their average GRE score is like, and see if they have given you any cutoff point that you need to have. So it would be basically be different for different universities. In Fulbright scholarship, for Fulbright scholarship, I can tell you that for qualifying to apply for Fulbright scholarship, you need to have 138 score in verbal and 136 score in math, but this is just a minimum score. So you should try to get as much a good score as possible. So another question is, how can we apply on the basis of GRE journal score in the USA, and kindly do tell if GRE journal subject or journal or subject is required for PhD. Okay, so when you are applying in a particular university, they will tell you on their programs page the requirements that you need to fulfill. So if they are asking you to take the GRE journal exam, then you have to take the GRE journal exam. If a particular university program is asking you to take GRE subject as well, then you take GRE subject as well. But I can tell you about Fulbright scholarship. For Fulbright scholarship, initially you only need to take GRE journal, not the GRE subject test. Mohammed Yusuf is saying, please explain in steps that what will be the right way to pass the GRE exam and how to apply in GRE. So in order to get registered for the GRE, you should go to ETS website. So these days, our centers in Karachi, Lahore and Islamabad, physical centers are closed till the end of June. You will be seeing new announcements on our page. But for now, ETS is also giving this option of GRE test from home. So for that, you can go on the ETS website and see the requirements that you need to have to take GRE from home. And in order to do well in the exam, we have discussed a number of things. Practice, as Mariam mentioned, practice is very important. It's really important. And then, initially take a mock test and see where you stand, look at your weaknesses, work on your weaknesses. And as you go on, as you keep working on the GRE exam, make sure to revise the things that you have been doing. Mehvish Anwar is saying, is GRE necessary for PhD admission? So in most universities, GRE would be necessary for the US-Pakistan Knowledge Corridor program. You need to take GRE. For the Fulbright application, you need to take GRE. And mostly universities do require GRE. But if you are applying directly in a university, then look at the university's program page. So there is another attendee who says vocabulary seems to be tough. So yes, I agree with you. Vocabulary, vocabulary is something that cannot be done in one day.
So you need to start vocabulary right now. My suggestion is keep a register with you every day. Read more and more, and come up with the 8, 10, 12 words every day that you think are difficult in the register. Write the meanings of those words, and try to do as many words as possible and every day. And as you do new words, always try to revise the old words, otherwise you will forget them. Can you please write the book's name? So, okay. So maybe I can ask Mariam to write some books names on Microsoft Word and share the screen. Can you do that, Mariam? Mariam, you there?
Yes, I can. I'm writing them in the chat.
Okay, okay, that would be great. Okay, Hamza Farooq says, is 310 a good score? So again, anything above 300 is respectable, but again, it's very hard to say for a particular program what score would be a good fit. Can we have a recording of this meeting? So we'll try to put up the recording on Facebook. I'm sure Mariam would talk to our social media team, and we'll try to put up on USEFP's Facebook page. Okay, so Tahira Masood says, please repeat the site for mock test. So that's the ETS website. So it's www.ets.org/GRE. There you'll find a free online GRE mock test that you can take GRE. Can I take GRE for free? So we did have a program, USEFP did have a program. The program is, it gives free vouchers to students or faculty members of public sector universities who work with us. So how it works is that we have we go to those universities for a GRE, for a Fulbright orientation, and then we go there again for a 3-hour GRE workshop. And then for select students, we get a list from the university. Then they take a mock exam in our centers, either in Lahore, Karachi, or Islamabad, or our team goes to that university and takes a mock test. So first 3 students who take 300 or more in GRE mock test, we give them free GRE vouchers. But for this year, it already has been done. And now due to the COVID situation, our test centers are also closed. So we will not be able to continue that. But after October, hopefully, we'll start the situation again. So if you are a student of a public sector university, keep in touch with your university. So Shadman Ali says, can the test fee be reduced? So actually USEFP is not the one taking the test fee. It's the American organization ETS. So we don't have any control over that. Mohsen Raza says, any date when HEC will start the GRE preparation session? So I don't have Mohsen, I don't have a date with me right now, but we are in touch with the HEC. And as soon as something is finalized, HEC and us will definitely share with you. Then there's another question, can we give GRE test after submitting the Fulbright application? So for Fulbright application, GRE is a requirement. And since the deadline for Fulbright is 15th of July, you have to take the GRE before that date. But also please, because the situation is fluid and it's changing all the time, do have a lookout on our web pages so that if there is any new announcement, you know about it. Junaid Ahmed says, during GRE, how can I put the codes of universities where I want to apply? So when you go on the programs page of a particular university, there they would have given you a code that you need to use. If you don't find the code there, then please contact their admissions officers and they will guide you. Why the institutions charge $27? So for additional GRE score reports, the universities do not charge $27. It's the ETS, the American organization that owns GRE, that charges this additional fee. Is Muhammad Salim says, is GRE test subject-based exam for PhD? Again, if the university is asking you to take a GRE subject, then you will take GRE subject. Omar Rahman says, how to check if the institute we want to apply to accepts GRE. So again, you will have to go to their website and their program page and see what they're asking you for. Okay, so kindly repeat. Mohammed Shamukh says, kindly repeat the URL links you have explained. So one is the ETS website, www.ets.org/GRE. The other one is our website, usefpakistan.org. And the other one, the third one is the HEC website. So I think it's hec.edu.tk, but you can always Google it and arrive at the HEC website. Please tell again, Muhammad Haris Tahir says, please tell again the name of GRE test prep book. So I think Mariam has written the names in chat. So it's Princeton Review, Kaplan, Mahoosh, Barron's, Manhattan Prep, and the official guide by the ETS. Fatma Majid says, can we take the test this year? Again, ETS, our physical centers are closed, but ETS is giving the option of GRE from home. So please go to the ETS website and look at it. Is there any free vouchers for GRE? I just explained the voucher scheme is over for this year, but after October, we'll start it again. For how long? Mohammed Yusuf says, for how long would the results of GRE be valid? So GRE results are valid for 5 years. Okay, so I'm just sifting through the questions because I don't want to repeat the questions that have already been answered. Does the GRE score, Roha Wasim says, does the GRE score requirements vary according to the field? Yes. So basically, if you're applying in an engineering program, the focus may be more on your math score rather than your English score. Similarly, if you're applying in an art program, the focus may be more on your English score. But this doesn't mean that you should not try your best in the other section as well. So for all the sections, please do try your best, but the focus may be different for the admissions committee. Afzal Raza says, for USA and other countries, IELTS is required or not after passing the GRE. So IELTS is an exam just like TOEFL. Both of these exams are accepted in more than 130 countries around the world. But always when you're applying in a university, always see what they are asking for. For Fulbright, I can tell you IELTS is not required, but TOEFL is definitely required. But you don't need to take TOEFL exam when you apply initially for the Fulbright scholarship. TOEFL is required only of selected candidates. So Ruhul Islam says, are there any passing marks for GRE? Again, for Fulbright, you need to have 138 in English and 136 in math to qualify to apply for Fulbright. But again, for different universities, you can check with their program pages. Muhammad Tashamul Haq says, are you offering coaching classes for GRE? So as I mentioned, USEFP and HEC are planning to have online classes. So as soon as something is finalized, we'll let you know. Hamna Zahid is saying, should we choose university first? So obviously, yes, you should look at the programs that you are interested in applying for, both if you're applying for Fulbright, even then, and also if you're applying directly in universities. So Ali Rahman says, do you guys offer any assistance to grad students who are willing to secure PhD position in USA universities? So yes, we do offer advising services. For that, you can go to our website, www.usefpakistan.org, get registered there as a student, and then one of our advisors will be assigned to you, and then they can assist you with applying in US universities directly. Umar Rahman says, what's the difference between GRE and TOEFL? So GRE is an aptitude test that you take in order to prove that you can take the pressure of studies at master's or PhD level in the US, whereas TOEFL, on the other hand, is just simply an English language test which checks your minimum proficiency for the English exam, so that they know that once you are in the other country, in the English speaking country, you have the ability to convey through the English language. What's the best way to start the GRE preparation when you have no prior exposure? So as I mentioned, always start with a good GRE book and just practice a lot. Practice as much as you can. Junaid Ali Nasser says GRE is required for master's degree. Yes, Junaid, GRE is required for master's and for PhD. Is it only computer based? Atif Ahmed is asking. Yes, GRE is only computer based in Pakistan. Yasser Mumtaz is asking 333 high frequency words is enough. So I don't think, Yasser, 300 words would be enough. Try to have a vocabulary, a good vocabulary of at least 1200, 1500 words or more. How Murtaza Mehlam says, how will we be giving the test, online or physically? So right now our physical centers in Islamabad, Lahore and Karachi are closed. So until a new announcement is made, you will have to wait for those. Until then, ETS is giving this option of GRE test from home. Please go to their website and look at the requirements for that before you get registered for that test. Is University of Okara, Hafiz Aftab is asking, is University of Okara in your GRE workshop list? So unfortunately, Aftab, we do not have that university in our list. Okay, so Saad Mirza is asking, does all questions hold 1 point increment? Yes, all questions in GRE verbal and quant hold 1 point increment, irrespective of the difficulty level. Okay, so I'll take one last question. Is there a, Mohsin Raza is asking, as there's a number of universities in US, what things should we consider while selecting universities? So you see, first of all, you need to see what program you are interested in, and then look at universities that offer that program. Then you have to look at your funding needs. So obviously all universities do not have, and all programs do not have equal funding opportunities. So this is another thing that you have to look for. And then you also need to look for which is a better fit university for you. So we don't recommend to go after rankings all the time, because there may be a university that has a good ranking, but it may not be a good fit for you. And on the other hand, it may not even have a funding for you. So we don't discourage going after top universities that are considered to be top universities, but then keep your options open always. And then we also have some sessions that we do on visas. So we ourselves don't give visa guidance, but every now and then when our centers are open, we invite visa officers from the embassy to talk about visas. So, these are 3-4 things that you need to keep in mind when you are applying in a university. And then once you get admission and funding, then you need to keep in mind how to make your application a strong application for visa, and then you need to prepare for your departure. So with that, I would really thank you all. We had a good number of participants. Thank you so much for being with us. And hopefully we'll see you guys soon, and we'll try to put this up on the Facebook as well for those who missed it out. Thank you so much, guys. Stay home and stay safe. Allah Hafiz.